Hi, everyone. Please subscribe to the channel. Really appreciate it. Thank you. So, we're starting to see 2028 candidacy lists and graphs and all the rest. I think in part due to Kamala Harris withdrawing from the governorship of California, the candidacy toward becoming governor. And if you look at the current status, and it's way too early, of course, we've been through this so many times before. When you do any kind of poll or assessment or anything else years in advance, especially in the current era, it's for all intents and purposes either meaningless or close to it. But nevertheless, she now goes to the background politically in that she has to advocate for herself and stay in the foreground of politics in some way if she intends to run in 2028. But even so, she would be a definite candidate then because of her name recognition now. And this is reflected in the current numbers. You see that she's way ahead of everyone. She's in the 40s in terms of her possibilities for 2028, whereas everyone else, they're in single digits at best. And so she has an apparently big lead. Now, in this video here, I'm just going to talk about her chart and the charts of three other people that are contenders. You can see them on the list, but I haven't looked at the other ones yet. So there's four of them. And what drew my interest is that I saw some striking commonalities in their respective charts. And these would be hers, Kamala Harris, as well as Pete Buttigieg, Gavin Newsom, and Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. Of the four charts, the one that doesn't share in this unusual situation for 2028 would be Pete Buttigieg. Even though it's a pretty good chart in 2028, my suspicion is that he is less likely to be a super potent presidential contender, although I do think the chart is good enough, more than good enough, to continue to improve, move his political career forward, probably through getting some kind of post in a winning administration. It's entirely possible. The other three, though, the remarkable pattern that I see is Ocasio-Cortez and Kamala are both Libra sun signs with the moon in Aries. And in the case of Ocasio-Cortez, she also has multiple planets in Libra. And then the other Libra is Gavin Newsom. So we have three Librans at that point. And, the obvious thing is that, yeah, that's what you want for 2028 because that's where Jupiter is at election time. That year from roughly mid-year to the following mid-year, you've got Jupiter in Libra. So now you have three different people that are benefiting from this Jupiter cycle. That's exactly what you want if you are trying to win something big. Indeed, this is what propelled the current president into his role, although, of course, pretty sure most astrologers would have winced looking at the overall pattern because Jupiter getting you in is one thing, sustaining you there is quite another. And the fact that in the case of the Orange Maniac, yes, Jupiter in a sign gets him in, but it's surrounded by all kinds of trouble, which then has him in the position he's in now. But okay, back to the Democratic candidates. So of the three, in the case of Kamala and in the case of Ocasio-Cortez, and let's say right away to that, there will be people, and my feeling is that she may also not even run. Ocasio-Cortez, we'll see. It's hard to know. She's, I think, relatively early in her career. She's making some moves to make herself more viable as a presidential candidate, but she may or may not run. But let's just look at the astrology. The astrology is that, yes, Jupiter in your sign, excellent. Same for Kamala. But if I have to pick one of those three and say which one has the advantage, I would put Newsom in first place. The reason is he also has Virgo rising, so that sign rises, Libra is the next sign. And this means that during the lead up, during the campaigning season, Jupiter is crossing through his ascendant. And that's very, very useful. Jupiter through the ascendant, Jupiter through the sun, they're pretty much the two top cycles you want to be in when you are trying to win something big. And so that gives him an advantage. And then even more telling is that right at election night, I mean, that week, Jupiter is precisely on his sun. And so I would say, if you ask me at this point, of course, lots of assumptions because it assumes that these people will even be running. I get all that. But assuming that they do, if I'm betting, I'm definitely placing the bet on him. The one thing that is strong in Kamala's chart is that the Jupiter for her is there on her sun at inauguration. And that can be very powerful as well. But the counterpoint in terms of strength for her is that it's also a Jupiter that is not as strong natally as Newsom's, and yet she does have good angles then. And so then you wonder, well, okay, so then if he wins, she loses, and she's got the Jupiter at inauguration. Well, one possibility here for all three, let's face it, maybe all four of these people, would be that only one can win. So I'm surmising here based on what I've got so far, and definitely can change my mind. Let me look at all the other charts. There's plenty of time for that. I get all that, right? But you would say only one of them can win. So whoever wins, my feeling is the others would probably be quite happy because one thing I notice about Democrats, by and large, there are some exceptions. You can find corrupt people in everywhere. Doesn't mean that every Democrat is perfect by any means, but by and large, they tend to be much more interested in the health of the country. They're much more likely to be real public servants as opposed to fake ones like we have right now. And so my feeling is that even the losers will be quite happy at inauguration in 2029 if we've restored the country to a better place, because in the situation we're in now, it really is, it is quite bad, as I'm sure you know.